Honestly, it kills me. Every time I watch it, you're like, there's an elephant in the room, guys. How does he get out the house? And how does he get back in? And what if he needs a toilet? He's in real trouble, man. You know, that amuses me. I'm sorry, I've got a very sick sense of humour.
So, again, can I... the role that you play in that, I just think is...
Yeah, quite right, honey.
I mean...
Talk about the grandfather, your great-granddad.
Just absolute scarcity in every manner, the way that you directed it, the way you lit it, your performance in that. How did you... Were you always going to play that role? Was it written with you in mind?
I was the B.
Tell us how that...
I was the B team, and we knew, Lenny and I both knew that if we had to, I would play the part. I was the cheapest and I was available for a start, because I was around the set every day, so I could do the part.
Yeah.
We put in for 2 actors that we both thought would be great, and they couldn't do it through work commitments. So I stepped in. Lenny, quite rightly, was a bit concerned that maybe I was taking on too much, and the rest was an absolutely fair concern from your casting director. But doing it was a joy, because it's a game. It's just a game. I mean, I've murdered so many people in films. It's a game. It's just a lark, you know. And you've got to look at it that way, or you'll go insane.
Yeah.
So I had an absolute ball. Watching it, I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't like watching it, because he's a deeply sad, broken, tormented human being. But in terms of when they turn over, you're only playing that guy for literally 2.5 minutes, and I never knew what he was going to do next.
Right.
Which, from an acting point of view, was great, and also I wasn't directing.
Yeah.
You know, when they turn over, I'm just an actor, and that's what I'm to trade. So it's brilliant. I get to be this lunatic with impunity. Nobody's going to come up and arrest me or lock me, or lock me up or whatever. So the reason why acting is one of the greatest jobs on earth is you get to do things with impunity. I mean, I smashed a car to bits in a Ken Loach film called My Name is Joe, and as I was coming out, he smashed the car to bits. There's 2 Polish stood going. I mean, I'm sorry, how many people get to smash a car to smithereens with a baseball bat? And the Polish are going, and when you finish the lot, you smash that up really well. Well, anyhow. You know, you do it in any other area, any other avenue of life, you know, there'll be a consequence.
Yeah.
Avi Lang said there's nowhere in the world where someone can go and scream. And that stuck with me for years, because I thought, God, you're right. And as we become more technologically, if you can call it, advanced in the spying, and the entire globe is being watched, as it were. But it always stuck with me as like, God, there must be a place in the world where someone can go and just scream for whatever agony is inside them. And of course I found it, and it's called a stage.
Yeah.
You can scream on stage and people give you a round of applause for it. You can scream in a film and they go, well done. There's no place, honestly now especially, there's no other place on earth when you can go and scream. You can dive up the top of a mountain and somebody will clock you somewhere, and they've got their mobiles and they'll make a little call, even though it may be sympathetic. So the great thing about acting, and what we would then offer up to our young cast, is this is an opportunity for you to do things and not hurt someone, not harm yourself, not harm others. You got a little rubber knife, just make it look real. So they could use all the shit that they'd seen in their own lives, and they can do it as a game. And the great thing about drama is the game is once they've done it and they're exhausted by the physical process of doing it, they get to understand it a bit better. And I'm not playing, you know, sociologist on this one or child counsellor. But the bottom line is, as far as we can gather, most of our youngsters who were on the fringes of the gangs, the real gangs, were real kids. As far as we can gather, they've not partook.
And how did you
They've stepped away from it because they played the game. And when you see a kid go down, you know it's just it's fake blood and it's special effects and all this kind of business. But when you go away from it, you realise in the real world that, well, if I do that with a knife, it ain't fake. It's not pretend.
Yeah.
So then I'd have to live with it. So drama really is a wonderful tool, particularly amongst kids who have issues, to just get it out of themselves in a protected environment. It's a kind of artistic padded cell.
Yeah.
You know?
So on that question then about kids being able to play out, if you like, in certain in the safety of that environment. It's an 18, so obviously
that's the censors. Because we've got knives, the censors were like, no, we will not negotiate. I tried. I mean, you know, we sent in emails and the rest. They were like, they just would not give any truck for that. Which again, I mean, the hypocrisy's staring you in the face. It's like, come on, guys, there's 15s where you're ripping people's heads off, but it's a superhero ripping someone's head off, or it's a werewolf, or it's whatever. They say that's okay. But the minute you present a certain version of reality with knives, they say no, that's going to encourage kids to leave the cinema and pick up knives, which I think is patently absurd. But that's the way the censor is, and I wasn't in a position to. I couldn't talk them round.
Right. But was it problematic from the funder's point of view? Because I can't remember the last 18 I saw at the cinema. They seem quite a rare thing.
Well, obviously they weren't too pleased because obviously they're going to lose money. Now Ned's has been a massive success. I think it's the biggest 18 in a long time in the UK. So it's been a massive success in the UK financially. Yeah. We just broke the million mark on 70 prints. So the film cost 3.5 million. So that's $1 million given back to them in the UK alone. Yeah. And that's before we opened in the States and France and Australia and Scandinavia and the Middle East and all the rest of it. So they're very, very happy at how it's performed financially. But it would probably have done 4 or 5 times that if it was. To be honest, that's never been the concern because we'll never see a penny of it. Right. You know, that's film.
Right. One of the other things that, I mean, it was Film of the Year the other night on Film 2011 or whatever year we're in now. I read a review and called it the Scottish 400 Blows. What do you think about that? And are you happy with the way it turned out? Are you, Lenny? Are you happy with it? Is there anything when you watch it now would you change?
Oh Jesus, yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I had to live with the damn thing. I had to cut it every single day. No, you're never happy with it, but you're glad you get away with it. You know, I mean, there's still bits in it I know are crap, but you just hope to God it'll work. You're never happy completely with a film. Well, no filmmaker I've ever met, so I think anybody that is an asshole.
How did you get away from that kind of, I could be wrong when I say this, but there didn't seem to be a lot of stage school kids in there, unless they were really good actors. How did you,
used the stage school.
How did you get
I
away
went
from
round
that?
all the stage schools because it has been quoted that I didn't, and that's not true because I did. Yeah. It gave everybody a fair crack at the whip. If you were at stage school and you were good enough, you had a chance. I tried to see as many youngsters as we could. It was when we ran open days and we invited the genuine article to turn up that we got the ones that you see, but they weren't hand-picked that way. It was just the way it happened. Yeah. But we did go to every drama school. We went round every youth club, and we spread our net.
We never actively, neither Lenny nor I would ever do such a thing. We never actively discriminated against. There's been a few people and they mean it's a compliment, like, there's no drama school. No, I would rather burn in hell than discriminate against a kid because he or she is from a particular background when they were lucky enough to get to drama school. To discriminate against them is equally as bad as to discriminate against any other kid. So I would never ever do such a thing. And we had a couple of kids who had gone to drama school. But effectively what we were looking for, regardless of background, whether they be middle class, upper class, working class, I couldn't care less. All we wanted was somebody who had a certain outlook and a certain element to their personality that when shot on this could project a certain something, be it danger, be it not danger, be it whatever. The worst thing that ever happens, in particularly if you look at your bollocks like Taggart and stuff like that, is they have an idea of what a hard man is like and how that hard kid walks into a room. It simply doesn't work that way. They don't come in grimacing. If you're a hard case, you don't need to grimace at nothing, and that's what they emanate. Yeah. The reason why certain people you will not mess with is I get a sense that son of a bitch would stab me and not give a monkeys. It doesn't matter if they're a little guy, a big guy, tough looking guy, soft looking guy. What you get from it is, I think you would do me in. Now, whether you're aware of that or not is another issue. So, when it came to Lenny and I casting the film, it was very much just kids that were aware of that, not kids who had lived that experience. because God forbid that any of them would live that experience. But even kids that were aware of that was enough that would inform their performance.
So, what was your kind of...
I'll be the air conditioning going then. Hope you can last longer than me, because I'm boiling in here.
So, what? Because you wrote this a while ago and you revisited, and what was the process of getting it from, you know, timeline, the shoot, getting it edited? How long did it all take?
From the time I wrote it to when we shot it was pretty quick, because they gave us the money very quickly. And in fact, one of the biggest time lapse was between completing it, which was last April, and it being released in January this year. That was one of the biggest time lapses. In terms of writing it, it took me a lot longer than it should have done, because I was buggering off and doing acting jobs and stuff. So, and I'm the kind of writer that would do anything rather than write, like most writers. You know somebody's writing because their house is so clean. Yeah. You know they're writing because they're like, you're writing, aren't you? How do you know that? Because your house is spotless. You know, and I'm the type of writer that would clean other people's houses. You know, that's how much I'll just prevaricate. You know, when I actually write, I do it pretty quick, like very quick. When I physically, when there's nobody else I can bore to death with whatever, and I have to sit there and actually physically do it, I do it pretty quick.
And how do you approach kind of, because you're an actor yourself, how do you approach that on set? How do you, because I read many quotes, particularly about the Magdalene sisters, but that said you kept a very loose set and everybody knew what they were doing, but it was very laid back, but controlled.
It's quite a bit fun.
But how do you do that? How do you?
You just don't have to be an ass. It's as simple as that. It's like running any place. You know, if you're going to be an asshole, then surprise, surprise, people don't enjoy their work and they start falling sick and they don't want to come in. Simple as that. You just, you know, you create a nice set, you treat people with respect, and you don't shout and bawl or do any of that nonsense. And more important for an actor when you're working with young, often inexperienced actors, is it should feel like fun. It shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm going to get seen by millions of people.
And is that those skills that what you've picked up from other directors, or just do you like to be treated on set?
No, I picked it up from other directors, and just I was a teacher for a long time in community theatre, and I taught at Glasgow University for a couple of years. And teaching has helped me more than anything, because in order to get a student to perform to their best, you want to keep them confident. You don't want to knock their confidence. And acting's 98% confidence, 2%, 1% skill, 1% maybe a bit of experience, maybe. But it's confidence. If an actor feels confident, they will produce to the best of their ability. But a director can knock an actor's confidence in a nanosecond, and some directors do. Yeah. Some do it deliberately, some do it because they're not very good directors. And it doesn't just apply to directing, because you're top of the pyramid. Yeah. So you can knock anybody. I mean, it's a very powerful position for the short time that you're shooting, and you can make people's lives misery very, very quickly if you so choose. And I've been lucky. I've never worked with that kind of asshole director. I've worked with good ones, but I've got mates that have worked with guys who are complete monsters, and everybody's miserable. You know, and I don't think you'll get the best out of people when you do that. Yeah. And apart from anything, I wouldn't want to be part of that. On an ethical level, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to bring people round and then start abusing them. And they're doing me a favour. You know, they're showing up, the money's not that great. And you're putting them in stupid costumes, and you're asking, sometimes they're putting their neck literally on the line. And I'm not going to be hanging around wanting to criticise that. I would never do such a thing.
So is that how you pick? How do you pick roles then when you're acting? Do you just look at the character and the script, or do you think?
Usually a director. It's usually a director. If I like a script, or if I think the director's okay, then I'm more than happy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's what matters to me. And the money.
Because you've just finished.
Please pay me.
Paddy Considine's one, yeah.
Paddy, we just did a film called Tyrannosaur, which hopefully will be here end of the year. Great film. Very, very good film.
That was Paddy's debut, wasn't it?
It was his debut. Paddy won Best Director in Sundance, and myself and Olivia, it's a sort of two-hander. We won Best Actor. Right. So we've got prizes. So if we've got prizes, you've got to come and see it. You've got your hand up already. He's not even asked you.